My stepdaughter looked me in the eye and said, "You're not my real dad. You're just some guy." So when she asked me to pay for her college tuition, I replied, "Then ask the real dad." I thought maybe it would shock her, make her pause for a second, but instead, she just rolled her eyes and walked away, phone in hand, like I was background noise in her life. My name's Eric. I'm 44, and for 15 years, I poured everything I had into raising this girl, Lily, like she was my own blood, and yet in one sentence, she erased it all. I met her mom, Jenna, when Lily was 6. Jenna had the spark in her eyes, sharp wit, and laugh that could cut through any bad mood. I was 30 at the time, just starting my career as a civil engineer, figuring out my life, when I stumbled into theirs. Lily barely looked at me those first few months, barely said a word. I didn't push. I just showed up, helped with homework, drove her to soccer practice, learned how to braid her hair badly, but tried anyway. Slowly, she let me in. By the time Jenna and I married, Lily whispered, "Can I call you Dad now?" My chest nearly burst. For years, it felt like we had something real. Father's Day cards, eye rolls at my lectures, her crying on my shoulder when a boyfriend dumped her. It all seemed like proof of what we built. Then came the subtle changes. A slammed door here, a shrug there, calling me Eric instead of Dad when she was annoyed. I chalked it up to teenage rebellion. Hormones, the usual. Jenna tried to reassure me. "She'll come around," she said. But I noticed a flicker of doubt in her eyes, the hesitation when she said it. 6 months ago, I overheard her on the phone with a friend. "No, he's not my real dad. He's just some guy my mom married. He acts like he owns the place just because he pays for everything." I froze outside her door, swallowing the lump in my throat. That night, I couldn't sleep. The following weeks, she became colder. Conversations died before they started. She talked about her real dad, Mike, more often, in a nostalgic tone I couldn't match. Then the day came when she asked me for college tuition help. Brightstone University, 3 states away, $58,000 a year. I paused, thought about everything I had given her over the years, and I asked, "Do you see me as your dad?" Her hesitation was brief. "Well, technically no." I exhaled slowly. "Then ask him," I said, and it wasn't anger. It was clarity. She was livid, stormed off, told Jenna I refused to help. And that was the spark that ignited months of unraveling. Jenna froze when I confronted her about how they'd manipulated the college fund we had jointly saved over the years. "I just wanted her to have a chance," she whispered. I shook my head. "That's not your call. That money wasn't yours to give without me." She turned away, guilt shadowing her face. Silence stretched like a canyon. Weeks passed. I slept in the guest room permanently. The main bedroom, a museum of betrayal. Lily, was ghost-like in her presence. Cheerful only when Mike was around. I tried to immerse myself in work, but I kept slipping. I was distracted, unfocused. My manager noticed. My projects suffered. And then, the day I found her email open on the table asking Mike if the tuition transfer went through, I realized it had bypassed me completely. That was it. That night, I started taking back control. I opened a solo bank account, set up a P.O. box, moved all my personal items, logged every household expense. I even revisited passions I had shelved: woodworking, sketching, running. The first dovetail joint I made, the first mile I ran after months of neglect, they were tiny acts of reclaiming myself, pieces of identity I thought I'd lost. I reconnected with old friends I had drifted from, started seeing someone new, Sophie. Nothing heavy at first, just human connection. Meanwhile, back in my old house, Jenna and Mike overstepped again. He stayed overnight, helped Lily shop for dorm stuff, even asked to crash a few days a week. I forwarded the proof to my lawyer. She said it violated our separation agreement, and we filed for expedited review of assets and primary control arguments. Slowly, leverage returned. Then came the Roth IRA I quietly built, untouched by Jenna. I adjusted the beneficiaries, secured a small trust with contingent beneficiaries from my family, signaling I protect the resources I had worked for Lily sent one last defiant text before leaving for Brightstone. You really showed your true colors, Eric. You'll regret this. I smiled inside, knowing something she didn't. I had nudged the financial wheels at Brightstone without touching the tuition, enough to put their plan under review. They had overplayed, and I had been methodical, patient, precise. Weeks later, in mediation for the house, I presented the full paper trail, all payments, mortgage history, renovation expenses, and breach evidence. Jenna tried to argue continuity, but the weight of documentation left her lawyer sputtering. By the end, she signed a settlement I dictated. No occupancy or legal use of the house for either Jenna or Mike. The profits mine once sold. Symbolic, yes, but necessary. Lily's tuition issues unfolded naturally. Brightstone froze her enrollment until they clarified funding, and Mike, who promised to pay, ghosted under pressure from prior unpaid child support cases. I didn't intervene directly. I just let the system and preparation do their work. Life after that breathed differently. I set up a small rental townhouse, converted a garage into a workshop, made furniture, sold pieces, ran again, sketched obsessively, and shared calm, unhurried weekends with Sophie. The house became mine, truly mine, a sanctuary free of ghosts, slam doors, and manipulation. Lily wrote once, handwritten, apologetic, but without expectation. She said she figured things out, thanked me for being there even when she didn't realize it. I didn't reply. I put her letter in the same box as her old cards and drawings, closed the lid, and walked into the cool autumn air. Peace doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly, and I recognized it for the first time. I had survived their betrayal, reclaimed my life, and for once, I wasn't waiting for someone to validate my worth. I stood on the porch and exhaled years of disappointment, anger, and heartbreak. I made it out, and this was the moment I realized loving someone doesn't mean letting them walk over you. You can love fiercely, deeply, and still walk away when they weaponize that love against you. That's the hardest lesson, but the most freeing. It's not about triumph over them. It's about reclaiming yourself, building something real, something untouchable. And as the wind rustled through the maple tree in my front yard, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Relief. Quiet, steady relief. Weeks turned into months. The house sold faster than I expected, mostly thanks to the renovations I had done myself. Each scratch and stain on the floor is a reminder of how much work I had put into building a space I could call mine. The buyers were young, excited, full of energy, and I handed over the keys, feeling no pangs, just a strange kind of closure. Sophie and I started hosting small dinners in the new townhouse. Nothing fancy, just a group of friends laughing over wine and takeout, the kind of nights I hadn't allowed myself to enjoy in years. It felt normal, simple, safe. Then came the first Thanksgiving without Jenna and Lily hovering over the kitchen, asking me to carve the turkey, just so, making little comments about how I wasn't really part of their family tradition. I invited Sophie, a couple of old college friends, and even my brother Dave, who I hadn't seen in over a decade. There were arguments over mashed potatoes and pumpkin pie. Someone burned the stuffing, and we laughed so hard we cried. I realized I had been depriving myself of these ordinary, messy moments because I thought I needed to play the hero in someone else's story. For the first time, I was part of my own story. Lily texted on my birthday. Something short, almost cautious. Happy birthday, Eric. Hope you're doing okay. No emojis, no gaslighting, no guilt trips. I stared at it, thumb hovering over the screen for a long time. Part of me wanted to reply. Part of me didn't. Finally, I just smiled, set the phone down, and poured myself a glass of whiskey. This wasn't ignoring her. It was choosing my own peace over emotional chaos. Months later, I got an unexpected call from Mike, Lily's biological father. Eric, hey, I want to talk about Lily, he said, voice hesitant. My first instinct was anger. He had abandoned his responsibilities before and left the chaos for me to clean up. But I listened. He told me Lily was struggling at college, overwhelmed, and he wanted to step up in whatever way I thought appropriate. I stayed quiet for a long moment. My chest ached, not with anger, not with resentment, but with the weird weight of responsibility I still felt. Finally, I said, Mike, I've done what I could for her. Right now, she's safe and supported. If you want to be there for her, you do it with patience and honesty. That's all I ask. There was a silence and a soft, thanks, Eric. That was it. No argument, no lecture, just acknowledgement. Over the next year, I focused on me. I expanded my woodworking business, started teaching a local woodworking class on weekends, and even hosted a charity bill for the community center. Sophie and I grew closer, sharing small, domestic routines that made my new life feel permanent. Grocery shopping lazy Saturday mornings, laughing at ridiculous YouTube videos, and arguing over which horror movie to watch. It was steady, grounding. Lily returned home once during summer break. I was in the garage sanding a table, sweat on my brow, music blasting through old speakers. She poked her head in, awkwardly. Hey, the house looks good, she said. I nodded, not letting her slip into the old patterns of entitlement. Thanks, I replied. Silence hung. Then, surprisingly, she said, I wanted to apologize for the college thing, the attitude, everything. I stopped sanding, looked at her. Her eyes were honest, hesitant, and something inside me softened. You don't have to explain yourself to me, Lily. You're growing up. Mistakes, bad choices are all part of it. She shuffled her feet, glanced at the floor, then finally met my gaze. I didn't mean to hurt you. I nodded again. That was all I needed. No lecture, no forgiveness ceremony. Just acknowledgement. We spent the afternoon together, oddly quiet, working on a small birdhouse project. It was simple, glue, nails, wood. But the act of doing something together, without expectation or resentment, was the first bridge we'd built in a long time. I realized then that being a parent, step or not, doesn't mean constant approval or unconditional gratitude. It means showing up, setting boundaries, and being willing to step back when your presence is weaponized. Over the next few months, Lily started reaching out more, small messages about school, about friends, about life. No demands, no manipulations, just connection. And I responded, sometimes with advice, sometimes just with encouragement, sometimes not at all. I learned that my love for her didn't require self-destruction. Meanwhile, Jenna tried to re-enter my life, sending messages about rebuilding what we had. But I stayed firm. I had grieved that relationship, that version of my family, and I wasn't going back. I told her once clearly, I've moved on. I'm happy. Don't contact me unless it's about legal matters. That ended that chapter permanently. A year later, I watched Lily graduate virtually from Brightstone, a small, proud smile on her face. Mike was there, a presence finally responsible, and I sent her a short message. Congrats! You did it. No accolades, no emotional entanglement, just recognition of achievement. She replied with a single word. Thanks. That was enough. Sophie and I celebrated that night, sitting on a porch with blankets. The first real sense of family I had created for myself, not inherited, not forced, but chosen. I realized that happiness isn't about fixing everyone else or being a perfect dad. It's about surviving, standing firm, and building something you can protect. And in that moment, watching the stars twinkle over my small yard, I finally felt like I could breathe, truly breathe. Years from now, I might tell this story differently. Maybe I'll soften the edges for nostalgia or exaggerate the drama for effect, but the core remains the same. Love doesn't mean giving yourself away. Respect doesn't mean being the martyr. Boundaries aren't cruelty, they're survival. And family isn't just biology or convenience. It's those who choose to respect and honor you while you still have the courage to protect yourself. I'm Eric. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. But I've also survived betrayal, reclaimed my life, and found a sense of peace I never imagined possible. And that feels like something worth holding on to, something no one can take from me, not even the people I once loved most.